boy. Okay, hi everybody. Unexpectedly not at school today, and so I'm going to record the lesson that I was going to teach. So just like any other day, what you want to do is turn your notebook open to the next clean white available page and put today's date at the top, which is November 30th. And today we're going to actually start the next bend of our research, which is going to be on ethical research practices. I'm going to screen share the slideshow, and I will give you time to take notes, but just know I've also shared the slideshow with you on Google Classroom. So you can go back and take a look at there's, I think, 3 really helpful slides, and I'll point those out as we go that you're going to probably want to use as you are going through your research today and taking these next steps that we're doing. Oh, and this is, this is Coco. And I guess he's just decided to visit with us today during class. Funny guy. Okay, let's see. I haven't done screen sharing in a while. I'm a little nervous. Like, let me see. What are you guys going to see? I don't even know. Oh, yeah. It's going to work out well. Let me see. I'm going to pull this up. Okay. So where are we? Okay, I'm going to screen share. Do this and share. Okay. So this, put it into slide mode. Okay. So this is session 9, which is where we're going to be talking. So the ethical part is the entire bend 2, is how do you research in an ethical way? And today we're going to talk about discerning arguments and disputes inside a research topic. So we're going to be exploring different viewpoints within your research topic. So if you wanted to write at the top, maybe right at the top of your notes, arguments and disputes. I think that would be a pretty good title up at the top. So I'll give you a moment to write that, arguments and disputes. Look at him sitting there. Okay. So what does ethical mean? And some of you maybe have some familiarity with the word ethical, and some of you have a lot of understanding about it, but it comes from the word ethos, which is Greek, and it means moral, truthful, fair, and honest. And when you're being a researcher, that's really important. You want to be somebody who has integrity. You want your word to be trusted, and you want to know how to do that. And then actually in our day and age, and I know that makes me sound old to say that, but it is hard. It really is hard right now to know exactly, if your sources are trustworthy, and you really want people to believe that you are trustworthy. And that takes a whole lot of thought, and not just today, and not just through the bend of this particular unit, but through your life. And hopefully by the end of this bend, you're going to have a much greater handle on who you can trust, what sources you can trust, and also to be more trustworthy yourself as a researcher. So we've been building background knowledge, obviously, about your topic over the last 10 days or so. And you've been looking for specific arguments, like, hey, what's the best way to produce clothing, right? Some of you have been looking into fast fashion, or you've been looking into free speech, and you've been finding arguments that interest you, and you've been going down paths that you believe that make sense to you and that speak to you. And today we're going to shift a little bit, because we're going to consider parts of our research that might be disputed, and where there might be some disagreement. So it's complicated. So this sheet here, these sentence starters, some of you really benefit from thought starters or sentence starters. So this is a great list to keep up when you are starting this work in about 10 minutes when this lesson's over. you can see some people don't agree about, right? Like maybe, in your topic, maybe they believe free speech should be limited for kids under 18. Maybe some people might believe that until you reach a certain age, you should not be able to say what you think. So maybe there are people who would disagree with you, or people think differently. Some people think, whereas others think. So to get this balance going, and look for what those are. And maybe you haven't been thinking that way. I know some of you already have, because I've heard some conversations you were having in your group when you were working on your infographic or just talking amongst yourselves, but some of you may not have yet. Some people think what's most important is this, and others think this is most important. So it could be even within something where you're so pollution solutions. Some may say, well, we don't, I had a chat with a friend who doesn't believe in the wind turbines. She thinks that they're dangerous for certain wildlife. So I didn't even think about that. That had not come up in my mind at all. It seemed to me like a really clean energy source, but she was like, well, what about birds and so forth? So sometimes you have to dig a little bit, and find out what are other people saying about these things. And then maybe some common misconceptions. Maybe it is a common misconception that wind turbines destroy birds, or maybe it isn't. Maybe some people think that it does, but the reality is actually that it doesn't. I don't know. I didn't actually dig into the topic. It just surprised me that somebody out there believed that wind turbines were dangerous for our planet in some way. So good research and it's part of being, again, going back to that word, ethical. Oh, wait, I want to tell you what number slide this is. Anyway, you'll have to find it. If I was at school, I would have handed this to you so you could have a hard copy in your notebooks, but I'm not there. So I don't know what slide number this is, but you'll find it. The one with the light bulbs. So you can make a little note to yourself that this is there in case you're having trouble getting started with your thinking. Find this slide. Okay. So if you're being ethical, you're not just going to notice your side. You're going to want to consider the other side, and find out more. And you may come to the same conclusion at the end anyway, or you might not. And you don't want to find you don't want to be too easy on yourself. You want to really find out, if there are lobbyists who are trying to stop wind turbines for projects from being funded, you want to find out why. Is it about birds, or do they have an economical reason why they don't want wind turbines? Find out. So this is another great slide for you to help yourself think about this, because this is a few questions you can ask yourself, such as what arguments or disputes come up inside this topic? What do people disagree about? What are some sides of these arguments? What groups or voices seem important in these debates? So how you would find this information is going to vary from topic to topic, and it's going to vary about what type of information you're looking for. So keep this slide in mind too. Depending on your topic, you would use different questions here, or you might try them all. So here are different ways that things can be debatable. So it could be very specific. So in other words, some people might say wind turbines are the way to go for clean energy, and somebody else might say it's solar panels, and some might say, well, solar panels have a lot of plastic and wind turbines are not made of plastic. So it could be very specific within your topic, or it could be complicated. There could be differing rational positions for both sides, such as free speech. When is it okay to limit someone's free speech? Well, there could be very rational reasons why you might not want a 10-year-old to have the same free speech rights as a 40-year-old. So that could be rational. There could be very good reasons. You want to be able to research it, obviously, because it might not be researchable. And it's hard. to come up with an example off the top of my head. I should have thought of this through, but some things are not researchable, like what are little kids thinking? Like what are little kids thinking that might be irrational? Well, that might not be researchable because nobody's going to write an article about goofy things kids say. So it might be hard to research what 9-year-olds are thinking, right? And why we might want to shut that down. But there could be good reasons for doing it because little kids say very strange things, and maybe we don't want all those things to be published or to be given equal airtime with adults. So, but it could be hard to research that. Haha, I came up with one right on the spot. I still got it. And it should be relevant and significant. It should matter to you and others. You don't want to do something that's so off to the side, like an energy source like coal, like that's kind of been, so obviously a pollutant. It might not even be worth spending time researching that when you're talking about clean energy sources, because everyone knows that coal is a significant pollutant. So it should be significant and it should be relevant. So this is another place where you can go to see if what you're researching, how you might want to take, what avenues you might want to go down that will make sense for your topic. And it's complicated. So keep this resource in mind as you go forward. So this is the last slide. And I think this is another one you might want to keep maybe on your iPad when you're researching. So which resources will help you focus on your topic in a more specific way? Where do you want to go? What sources have you started to trust? I know that I was talking to somebody in the it was fast fashion who found this website after he had finished all of his research, after he had finished his synthesis notes. He found a website that rates all like hundreds and hundreds of fashion sites in these 3 ways. And he'd already finished his work at that time, but he might want to go back to that and see, which that might be a really good resource to go back and focus on, which maybe specific companies. Maybe he wants to go after specific companies, or maybe he wants to start researching companies that are doing a really great job and how they're doing that job. So if you find out that a particular company has really done a turnaround and is very ethical, maybe you want to do a deep dive into that. Also, you want to look at holes in your research. And I've heard some of you that's come up. I heard some kids again in fast fashion. They were talking about, I don't understand these 2,000 gallons of water to make a pair of jeans. Like, what does that look like? Can I find a video that shows me the path of water or the construction of jeans from planting the cottonseed all the way to, the finished product? So maybe that's a hole in your research that would help you understand more about it. I've heard some of you, those things come up naturally. Maybe you've jotted them down. Maybe you've made a mental note, or maybe you haven't. And you're going to have to do some deeper thinking about that today. And you can take a deep dive into those things. And do you have information on opposing views? Have you sort of set that aside for now? And if you have, you can now would be a good time to find out what are other viewpoints about, free speech, or the topic that you're going into, or about prisons. I know some of you, or about the death penalty. What are the opposing views? And maybe today's that day to almost pretend you're on the other side. Pretend you're one of those lobbyists. Pretend you're one of those people who, it comes from a different perspective. Are you a person who had your family your family was the victim of a crime, and a very serious crime, and maybe you feel differently about the death penalty than someone who has not experienced that? Today's the day to start taking notes on the other side, because that is going to help you to be an ethical researcher. Maybe you'll change your mind. Maybe you'll change part of your mind, or maybe you will find information that continues to validate what you already have done in the last couple of weeks in your research. We really don't know, but that's what ethical researchers do. Okay, now stop share. Okay. I'm back. Am I back? Can you see me? Oh, look at that guy. Should we wake him up? Should we wake him up before we go? Okay, well, I really wish I could be there with you today. I really love this unit. I think this is super important as a thinker, as a citizen, as a responsible reader, as a responsible writer. I think, exploring these types of things today are going to be, it's going to be really valuable to you. I know you've done some of this type of work before, but now we're getting older and getting more sophisticated in even how we think and how we research and write. So I hope you have a great day today. I think today maybe a good idea would maybe explore deeply one source. If you find something really good on the other side, maybe more, and jot some notes. And try your best to keep an open mind as you read, because that is the most ethical, moral way to approach any topic. If you have any questions for me, you can shoot me an email, lcats@mgsd70.org, and I will get back to you. Okay, let's wake up. Go. Hey, Gogs. Go. You want to say goodbye to the children? Gogs? Yeah, you do. You want to say goodbye to oh, yes, you want to say goodbye to them. Yeah, see, there he is. Are you all having PTSD about the pandemic right now? Because I kind of am. Okay. Bye.